On December 29th, 2024, officers were dispatched after receiving a report of inappropriate conduct involving a massage therapist.
In that place, and they make you sign this big thing, like, you know, no innuendos, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I go in there, I get a massage from this dude, and at the very end, he, like, accidentally touches my I'm like, alright, whatever. I hated that, he probably hated that. And he, like, keeps touching my I'm like, this is really weird. And then I, like, feel him sucking my so I open my eyes, I look at him, I'm just like, hey, whoa, like, whoa. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And so, could you, like, but then the front office people were talking about, oh, like, if it had happened, we would check with him, you know, like, all this, that, and the third about, like, it, like, had this allegedly had happened. And so I would want to, like, swab my whatever for his DNA. Like, I don't, like, how do you handle something like that? Because, like, that's assault and a breach of contract and weird. And so, like, you know, like, obviously I didn't ask.
Yeah. What did he say? Okay.
He didn't say anything. He just, like, had touched my and then had continued touching my and then started sucking my and then I, like, shot up and was like, hey, dude, like, stop.
This is the moment where everything shifts. What the client is describing isn't just awkward or uncomfortable. It's an allegation of sexual battery. And legally speaking, intent doesn't have to be proven the same way it does in other crimes. If unwanted sexual contact occurs during a professional service, especially one governed by consent-based contracts like massage therapy, that alone can cross a criminal threshold. What's also striking here is the client's immediate confusion, asking officers how to even handle something like this. That hesitation, that disbelief, is something juries often find very real. But here's the question for you. Does shock excuse delayed outrage, or does it cast doubt?
It's kind of wild. You visiting here?
Yeah, we're just on vacation, you know, like, getting massages with my siblings. None of my other siblings had this experience with any of their people.
You guys all went? Like,
yes.
A bunch of you? Okay.
Yeah, and the dude's name is Hector, the guy, the masseuse. And they said he had been working there for a while, and, like, they never got complaints of that. But, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There you go. Alright, just go back to the family. I'll be right back. I'm gonna make some phone calls and then see what we're gonna do.
Alright, yeah, but yeah, I do want to get some DNA evidence on it. Because right now it's all
yeah,
he said, she said.
I gotta figure out how we can go about that. Yeah.
Officers responded to the location but were unable to locate Hector. While waiting for him to return, they interviewed his coworker.
This guy comes in to get what service did he?
He had a massage today.
A massage.
With a couple of friends or family or something like that. Yeah, but he came out alleging that there was inappropriate activity, so I asked for more details. They were kind of giggling and laughing, telling me about it, which I thought was kind of odd, but I was like, you know, obviously if that is what occurred, like, that's not up to our policies. And I did talk to Hector about it, and he said, no, nothing like that happened. You know, there was, like, you seemed to be excited during the massage. I asked if everything was okay. The massage went as planned, and then he stayed through the whole session, and that was that. They checked out and then came back in and told me this information, which I thought was a little odd, but
So he goes into the room with Hector by himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the massage rooms are
So he goes in with Hector by himself, and then how long is his massage for?
80 minutes.
So it's 80 minutes. And so he stays through the whole session. He comes out and says to you...
Yeah, they checked out. And
so they check out, he paid.
Yeah, they had gift certificates, so one of the group came to be like the liaison for here's what we're doing for the gift cards and the tip and all of that, and then came up and told me the information, and I was like, hold tight 1 minute, let me get these people checked in and checked out.
Did the client tell you himself, or was it...
Yes.
So tell me as close to what he said. And that you
he said
remember.
He tried to suck my in exact verbiage, in fact, and I said, whoa, are you sure?
Okay.
Yeah, which is super odd because we've been around for 30 years and never had an issue. Hector's worked here for 10. I've worked with him personally for 5, and I've never had anything like that even be alleged here. So thought it was kind of odd, so asked for more information. Didn't really get much besides that he then changed and said that he did suck his. And I was like, are you sure about that? And he was like, no, yeah, you for sure. I said, that's really crazy. I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, obviously I called my manager. She is at her other job today, I believe. So I sent her an email with all the information, shot her a text saying, hey, check your email in the morning, something for you to handle. Enjoy your day off if you're having one, but deal with this in the morning. And I told them same thing, like, I wish there was more I could do for you, but I'm just run-of-the-mill. I'm run-of-the-mill front desk. I have no upper management. We'll obviously get your gift card refunded, but you know, that'll have to go through upper end. So yeah, I kind of told them hang tight and wait for a call, but so sorry if that is what happened. It just seems, not to say I don't believe them, and I told him that as well. So not to say I don't believe you at all, because that's not the case, but it seems highly unlikely, so I am really sorry if that is what happened, but yeah.
But when he came out, was he upset, like, I need to talk to somebody right now, or was it like, hey,
no, he came out and like went over to the table with the people. I don't know if they came outside or went in. We had a bunch of people checking in and out, and then came up and told me and just kind of whispered it to me and was like, yeah. And that was it. He didn't seem to
So he did try to exercise discretion. It wasn't like, holy shit, this guy sucked my
just came over and told me and was like, hey, just so you know. And I said, oh, that's really weird. And he kind of like laughed about it. And then they came outside and then came back in to like give me more details. And I said, hold tight one sec. I'll come outside and talk to you because there's other people around, obviously.
So you came outside.
Yeah, and we spoke right over here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really very bizarre, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
Yeah, it just seemed a little off to me. If I'm giving you my opinion, obviously I'm not a psychologist, so I wouldn't know, but yeah, it seemed a little bit weird.
This is where credibility becomes the quiet battleground. The front desk employee repeatedly emphasizes how odd the reaction seemed. Laughing, whispering, not immediately demanding action. And while that might sound suspicious on the surface, legally it means very little. Trauma doesn't follow a script. Some people freeze. Some joke. Some compartmentalize. The law doesn't require a victim to react a certain way. It only requires that the act occurred without consent. Still, inconsistencies do matter during investigations. So here's the tough question. Are these behavioral red flags? Or just human unpredictability under stress?
Everybody doesn't react the same. Some people are giddy or gigglish about it, and others are outraged.
Exactly.
Correct.
Like we had an incident once with a technician being assaulted, and she was over the top, you know, like very stressed. So I've seen that happen before, and that was, you know, via a client, but that's really my only experience with it. So I was like, this is really what I expected. And also it's kind of, story was one, story was another. So I'm like, okay, well, let me get your details.
Did you mention anything to Hector about it?
Yeah, I asked him, I said, what happened during the service? And he said, nothing. It was just the regular massage. I asked him if everything was okay during it. He seemed like everything was fine. I mean, what's going on? And I was like, well, there was an allegation, so I just wanted to check with you. And then he was like, wait, what? And he was kind of stressed out, but had another service to go to and then headed out for the day. So, yeah, and I was checking people out when he left for the day, so I didn't have a chance to talk to him.
And he didn't say whether or not the guy seemed overly excited during, because
he did mention that he was like, the only thing was, I mean, he definitely was during the service, but I asked him if everything was okay, and it seemed fine, which, I mean, and you know, that happens pretty often during a massage, so we're not, you know, any stranger to it. You're draped modestly, so we're like, have as much excitement under that drape as you want, but under the drape. Right, you got that right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for letting me know. Did you get a hold of him? Oh, perfect.
Do you have an ID on you, Hector? Thank you so much. Yeah. Dang.
And you are?
I'm his friend.
Okay.
He's just nervous and would like a friend to...
Understandable.
He gets nervous too, that's why I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, yeah, so I called him because, you know, I needed to come and see what's going on and clear my name.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're doing.
All right, Hector, can you explain to me what happened your side? That's all I really need to hear.
Okay, so my client, he was complaining about, he plays basketball, so complains about tightness on his legs and cramps back here.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to work all of the muscles of the legs, even the attachments of the hamstrings, which are like right here on the butt. So I have to go like this, right? Then the attachments right here. So I have to put my elbow right there and also shake it to help release it.
Yeah.
You know. the guy when he turned over, I noticed that he had a hard on.
Yeah.
I think he was a hard on. I don't know if he was just like, that's the way he is.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what do I do? I'll keep doing the massage, because I've never had this experience before. I'm just starting my 9th year of employment here.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to worry about it. So when I was doing the attachments right here on the gloves, I did this, and I did that a couple of times, but I didn't think that would be a problem.
And then what did he do?
I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But he didn't say anything else.
Did you think that he was uncomfortable with that, or did you have to move it and it was just felt like you needed to say something? Okay.
He didn't say anything.
He didn't say anything.
And
he made no reference to it. Okay.
I just said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, that's fine."
Now we finally hear Hector's side, and it's clinical, detailed, and rooted in professional routine. He describes anatomical technique, years of experience, and something massage therapists rarely say out loud but often encounter: involuntary arousal. From a legal standpoint, arousal alone proves nothing. The critical issue is conduct. Hector admits noticing it, but insists he never crossed a boundary. No oral contact. No intentional touching. And that distinction matters enormously, because if DNA supports the client's claim, this defense collapses instantly. If it doesn't, the entire allegation starts to unravel. So ask yourself, does his explanation feel transparent or carefully rehearsed?
And so why did you think you had to say if you asked if he was okay?
Because I noticed that I think he had like a hard on, or unless he was just like,
Oh, so you saw it and you asked, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I didn't know if he made any kind of gesture or something.
No,
okay.
I mean, we finished because we had like 5 more minutes of the massage when I was working right here on the upper attachments of the legs. So, I just decided to ignore it because I never had an issue like that.
Yeah. Did he say anything to you before the massage was over, before he left, or
no?
He made no.
When he left, I was standing on the door, like on the hallway, but he just walked through.
Okay.
I asked him if he wanted water. He said no.
Okay. It's real dark in that room.
We keep it dark.
Okay. And he had underwear on.
He had underwear.
He had underwear on. Okay. At no point he took his underwear off.
Huh?
At no point he took his underwear off.
I'm sorry?
At no point did he take his underwear off. Okay.
No, because we always tell them undress to your level of comfort.
Okay. Yeah. And at no point did you ever put your mouth on it?
No.
Okay, so there'd be no way that.
Yeah, I'm not going to risk my job.
No, I totally understand. I understand, and maybe that he was probably just uncomfortable, or maybe he didn't know how to deal with kind of what was going on.
Right.
But that is his claim.
Okay.
Is that's what happened, and you know that didn't happen.
I know that didn't happen.
Okay.
I mean, if he felt offended because I did this,
okay,
I had to do my job.
Is there any way, since if the easiest way for me to clear this entire situation is to get a buccal swab of your DNA?
Okay.
So that way, there's no we find DNA on there. It's not yours. It's fine.
Okay.
And you're completely absolved.
Okay.
Right, and his story would obviously break down completely.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
This right here is the turning point of the entire case. A buccal swab, simple, quick, and incredibly powerful. DNA doesn't care about opinions, emotions, or awkward conversations. If Hector's DNA appears where it shouldn't, intent becomes irrelevant. The act speaks for itself. What's notable is that Hector agrees immediately. No hesitation. No lawyer present. From an investigative standpoint, that cooperation can be seen as confidence or catastrophic miscalculation. And this is where viewers should lean in. Would you consent to DNA testing if you were innocent, knowing one result could decide your freedom?
What she is doing, but I have a newfound respect for your tiny little people and your tiny little fingers. And then the last few that I've had have been female. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was so surprised. I was like, she has the hands of a 10-year-old, and I walked out of there like I had come from the chiropractor.
Yeah.
That's how So I guess I say that to say it doesn't matter the size of your hands or how big or strong you are. If your fingers are nimble and you can do wonders. It was amazing.
I'm just gonna get in the inside of your cheeks, okay?
Okay.
Oh.
And we totally appreciate you coming up here.
Yeah, this is gonna make it so much easier on us. We do one more. Thank you so much. Yeah, but just based on his claims, this will just immediately rule it out. And then, you know.
I meet from before. Hey, I wanted to talk to an attorney. You never really got back with me.
They never did?
No. So.
Okay. Yeah, I do have her card. She said she was going to get in touch with you. So it's this one right here. It's from Carson Meissner.
Okay.
And it's Diana. I'm gonna email her too because, as I said, I hired her at the beginning of January.
Okay.
And I've been reaching out like almost every couple of weeks saying, have you heard anything from them?
Reaching out to her to see if she's heard anything from me?
Yeah.
Well, no one ever told me who she was, so I couldn't call her.
Oh.
Because you said you were getting an attorney, but then you never told me who the attorney was.
Okay.
You understand? Like, I can't call someone down or they don't exist.
Right. Oh, okay. I didn't know I had to tell you because she said that she was going to reach out to you personally.
Oh, yeah, no, she never did that. So just so you know, we obviously got back the results of that task.
Yeah.
All right, so with the evidence that's there, we do have PC for your arrest.
Okay.
When officers say they have PC, or probable cause, that doesn't mean guilt. It means there's enough evidence to believe a crime likely occurred. And here, that evidence includes the allegation, corroborating timelines, and crucially, forensic results. An arrest at this stage is procedural, not a verdict. But make no mistake, this is serious. Battery charges tied to sexual misconduct can permanently destroy careers, reputations, and lives, regardless of the trial's outcome. So here's the real question. Did the evidence justify immediate arrest? Or should more investigation have happened first?
So if you want to step out, we want to take you in so that you can get processed, and then that'll push the process along.
Okay. Yeah, if you open
It is this one?
yeah, just the bottom, you can just flip the lock.
So just lock the bottom?
Yeah.
Port number 1109, again 1109,
Okay.
2078
You can go this one. This one? Yeah.
I'm gonna check one more time and just make sure. Check his belts or anything. Can you spread your feet out, man, for me just for a little bit? Nothing else on you, right? Just making sure before you go in the back of the car. Mm-hmm.
Let's turn on the car. Get you me see how that.
This case is a textbook example of how fast a routine interaction can escalate into a life-altering legal battle. On one side, a client alleging a profound violation of trust during a vulnerable moment. On the other, a professional insisting his actions never crossed a line. The deciding factor wasn't emotion, it was evidence. Probable cause led to arrest, but the courtroom is where truth will ultimately be tested. Cases like this remind us why consent, clarity, and accountability are everything in professional settings. If you found this case as shocking as we did, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.